And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Y'all, what's happening? How's everybody? Great to be with you. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy. Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Coincidentally enough, directly across from me on the other side of the glass, both literally and metaphorically, in charge of the broadcast, making it sound as good as we do. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the content cash cow, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. He is the professor of perfection. He is the great one, Lonzo, with us today. What up, Zo?
You know, eventually you're going to get tired of all that. That's a lot of nicknames, and you keep adding to it.
It's all good. You deserve them, you know? I
mean, after the long intro, I don't have time to talk.
I don't know that they're going to etch all of them onto trophy number 2, Lonzo, but they work for me.
Well, I wonder at what point, how many victories in a row we have to have before they also turn that trophy into the pre-Stanley Cup like the Station of the Year has, and then they just start, adding rings to it.
Yeah.
So then they could put all my nicknames on there if they do that.
First time we don't win it, I'm going to be devastated. Just devastated. You know what's going to be embarrassing is if I wear my sequined red jacket to the dinner and we don't win. Then I'm the guy who dressed like a superstar to be the top loser.
I will say, if we are going to lose, I hope we lose to someone else in the building.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, because then the station still wins. And
Yeah.
we're those kind of guys.
I mean,
now,
don't
it
get me
may not
wrong.
go the other way as far
Right.
as that goes, but yeah.
And we'll absolutely never hear the end of it, which will be on us. We brag a lot, but it's easy to brag when you're standing on top of the mountain.
I've been asked to assist, possibly do another one.
I'm sorry, you'll be too busy doing ours.
Yeah, and I said, you're going on my competitive nature because
So you want me to beat me, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, we compete with ourselves all the time.
Yeah, we
don't
do.
we?
That's true. That's true. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a busy show today. A massive amount of Carolina Panthers draft news today. I shouldn't say news. I should say reports. A massive amount of Carolina Panthers draft reports coming out today, including that the Panthers might be willing to trade down out of that number 6 pick, may be interested in, as in out there looking to trade out of that number 6 overall pick, but there is a reason that they may do so based on the potential plans that another NFL team with a pick ahead of Carolina has talked about as well. So we're going to talk about that coming up in just a little while, because that could be a game changer for the Panthers. A, taking them out of competition to draft not just a quarterback, but maybe the quarterback that they wanted. And B, may kind of force their hand into ending up in a position where they've got to go get a veteran guy to either play alongside Cam Newton or to just take over the reins entirely. Could that be Jimmy Garoppolo? Could that be Baker Mayfield? The Seattle Seahawks, by the way, yesterday rounded out, you would think, their quarterback roster. They brought Geno Smith back. Remember, Geno stepped in for Russ Wilson last year when Russ got banged up. So Geno's going to get one more crack in Seattle. Don't know if he'll be the starter, but remember, Drew Lock is on that roster as part of the trade for Russell Wilson the Broncos made.
Isn't Geno like 37 years old or something like that?
He's
Seems like he's been in the league forever.
He's younger than me. Let's see. Geno was born in 1990, so he's 32-ish. 31, turns 32 in October. I'm not saying it's a great option.
I wonder what the average age of a backup quarterback is in the NFL.
That's a good
a
question.
number two. Because generally your number two is not the guy you just, brought in the third or fourth round. That's usually your number three.
I would be willing to bet it's obviously got to be older than the starters, right?
Yeah, because your backup guy, you expect them to play 2 games probably a season.
Yeah.
So, and that's all they need to be good for.
So they're not going to get beat up as much. Plus, you want a more experienced backup, right? Because he's not only playing the role of backup quarterback, he's playing the role of scout quarterback in practices. He's playing the role, if you have a young quarterback, of kind of mentor to that young QB. That's a good question. I might do the math on that after the show. I'm interested in that. But we'll talk more about that later. So Seattle rounds out their QB roster with Drew Lock and Geno Smith, which means they are likely out of the mix. I only bring that up because if that is the case, Seattle was really the only destination left that I felt like Baker Mayfield kind of fit naturally, with the exception of Carolina.
He mentioned them in that video, by the fire with the dog. He mentioned Seattle. So Seattle
just absolutely zonked upside down on the couch. Love it.
Seattle said, nope, we want Geno.
Yeah. Which was I was really curious. I am really curious about that. I got no disrespect for Geno Smith. I like the guy, but Baker's right there, and you go Geno Smith. Interesting. But also, even if Cleveland is pitching in, you got Geno at a discount compared to Baker. You're not going to get the production out of Geno that you were going to get out of Baker, but you left him on the table. So the question becomes, for the Carolina Panthers, does that addition by the Seattle Seahawks of Geno Smith, does that addition bring down the asking price for Baker Mayfield enough that as a Panthers fan, you're more interested in him now?
Well, right now, isn't Baker Mayfield better than anybody on the Panthers roster, quarterback-wise?
I'd say absolutely.
Yeah, I've probably by a lot. All the people, that have been out there going against Baker, he won a lot of games in Cleveland and probably won more games minus Cam now than the other guys on the roster for the Panthers.
Yeah, I'd say he's easily the best quarterback on the Panthers roster if he was there. Which says to me that's the move, right? Now, the reason that popped up is twofold. Number one, yesterday afternoon, the New York Giants tipped their cap a little bit. The Giants have 2 of the first 10 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. They own pick number 5 and number 7. They own number 7 because of the draft day trade they made last year that allowed Chicago to draft Justin Fields. So the Giants own 5 and 7, bookending the Carolina Panthers' number 6 overall pick. Yesterday afternoon, the Giants were talking, and NFL draft analyst and insider Daniel Jeremiah went on the Pat McAfee show, and he told Pat that, quote, everybody I've talked to wants to go in reverse. I haven't found anybody that's in a hurry to go forward, so we'll see what happens. Usually when you have trade-ups, you're talking about quarterbacks, and it just comes down to where everybody feels on these dudes. So if you get somebody that loves a quarterback, the Carolina Panthers are picking at 6. I know some people have mentioned Detroit with a quarterback early. I don't know that I'm buying that necessarily. So if you want one and you think Carolina might take one at 6, then you've got to get to 5. And everybody I've talked to said the Giants would love to get out of the 5th pick. So that would kind of be an opportunity spot right there. I don't know if there's a quarterback that's really kind of worth it in this draft, end quote. So what he's saying here is, if there is a team that is hard up for a quarterback here, if there is a team sitting somewhere in the teens or 20s that feels like one of these cats, Malik, Kenny, Matt, is a franchise guy or a potential franchise guy, and the Giants are looking to trade back, there might be a deal there, because if one of those guys specifically is the guy you believe in the most, you got to get in front of Carolina. And the thing is, there's nothing Carolina can do about it. If anybody wants up ahead of Carolina, Carolina can't offer 2 mid-round picks to flip with the Giants and go from 6 to 5 and ensure, or I guess decrease the likelihood that somebody jumps in front of them. There's nothing they can do about it. So if you're the Giants and there is potentially more teams that are interested in jumping up and grabbing probably Malik Willis, maybe a Kenny Pickett, that means that the Giants can trade back, and that sticks Carolina in kind of a crappy situation. Because now you got a team jumping ahead of you taking a quarterback, and if there is one guy, and it seems to be a growing consensus that Malik Willis is the guy. There's still a lot of draft analysts who are in on Kenny Pickett, who thinks that Kenny Pickett is the most draft-ready guy in this class. But if there is a consensus quarterback and the Panthers are in on that cat, and somebody trades with the Giants, you end up in a spot where now you're sitting at 6. Your guy's not on the board anymore. So what do? You go offensive lineman? And keep in mind that if somebody trades up to 5 to take a quarterback, it is likely that other teams will start looking to trade up as well, because if you're coming into this draft wanting a quarterback and there's really only 3, maybe 4, if you consider Desmond Ridder a first-round guy, which a lot of people don't, if somebody takes a QB off the board at 5, you may start an inflated run on quarterbacks. Other teams start panic mode. They go, all right, one's off the board earlier than we expected to, so we need to jump up and get one of the 3, if this is what happens. So if you're Carolina at 6 and you don't get the one guy that you want, now you got the chance to potentially trade back, because there might be other teams that are quarterback thirsty.
And see, the other thing about it, and Carolina, if I'm Carolina, I want this to happen, because I'm not so sure about the quarterbacks that are there. Someone jumps up to 5, takes a quarterback. There are several teams, more than several teams, with multiple picks in the first round. So you can get an extra pick, trading out, taking their pick and another pick maybe, and end up with 2 picks in the first round, and you can get that offensive lineman and then get somebody else. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are worth that. But we've seen draft days happen where people are they get sold on, we need this guy, and they will take the gamble, because that's what it is. Especially this year, it would seem that it's a gamble to do that. And quite frankly, it's more entertaining on draft day when there are a ton of trades and disarray and people not getting their pick up in time to the table. That's a lot more fun than it going chalk, like what the experts are projecting.
You're right. Now, for the record, teams aren't drafting based on entertainment value. They should, but they won't. So my question then becomes, if you're Carolina at 6, right? And we're talking about trading down. And the reason we're even talking about trading down right now is because Anthony Rizzuti of the Charlotte Observer has written up a report saying that Scott Fitterer is actively shopping a trade down out of the number 6 overall pick. He wrote, quote, "The draft pick merchant, Scott Fitterer, may be added again, as a report from Mike Giardi on Wednesday indicates the team is sniffing out every possible deal as we inch closer to April 28th. With the Panthers in possession of this spring's 6th overall pick, the NFL Network insider notes they've been in contact with multiple front offices regarding a potential swap out of the position." He then quotes the tweet from Girardi Girardi says, as we go one level deeper, it is sourcesception here. Girardi says, important to note that, per league sources, the Panthers have talked to numerous teams about moving back from 6. They don't have another pick until number 137. Picking a quarterback in the top 10 might be too much, but picking one in the mid-first is more palatable and gets them more draft capital. End quote. So, first off, we know the Panthers have been visiting quarterbacks, right? We know that they have brought in all the top guys. They are also set to they also brought in Sam Howell and Bailey Zapp on Monday. On Tuesday, it was Malik Willis, Matt Corral, and Desmond Ridder. And on Wednesday, they brought in Kenny Pickett.
Did you say Bailey Zapp?
Zappe.
I don't believe I've heard of Bailey Zapp.
I got to tell you, I read that name, and I'm like, is that a typo? Bailey Zapp is the current quarterback. Let's see here. I really don't know the name. Western Kentucky. He's a hilltopper.
Okay.
He's a hilltopper.
I've been there accidentally. So yeah.
You accidentally ended up in Western Kentucky.
Well, no, we went there to go to Mammoth Caves, which is one of the largest cave systems in North America.
For me.
Yeah, which was awesome. We were driving around in a rainstorm and ended up on a hilltop, and it was Western Kentucky.
You were literally a hilltopper.
Yeah, we were.
I like it.
They generally have been pretty good in their division, whatever it is.
Yeah, Western Kentucky's been boys.
But
again, if Bailey Zapp's a guy I'm looking at, you and I would have heard of Bailey Zapp.
Yeah. So the Panthers.
Maybe I'm just a bad radio guy.
The Panthers bringing in Bailey Zapp. That's just kind of, I think that says what they think about the guys ahead of him, because I don't remember hearing of him being projected anywhere near the top. I guess you could say that they're being thorough and bringing everybody in, but I think it says a lot about what they think about the guys at the top.
So Bailey Zapp gets brought in. So does Sam Howell, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett. But they're also bringing in next week Evan Neal, Ikem Ekwonu, Charles Cross, offensive tackles. So they're doing and of course they're doing due diligence, right? Like, this is obviously a thing that you do, for sure. So, Carolina's sitting at 6. They now know that the New York Giants are not just willing, but are looking to drop back from 5. Somebody takes 5 from New York, jumps up, grabs the quarterback they want. Well, Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett are going to be available till 12, 13 maybe. Is there a trade there? Right? A team that is not looking quarterback. It's a decent wide receiver class this year. Maybe somebody needs a playmaker and is willing to jump up into that spot. New Orleans may trade up even further for a wide receiver. They've been looking for one. And it also, we got to keep in mind, it depends on if the Giants tip their cap about what they plan on doing with 7. You'll notice they offered 5. There's a reason they offered 5 instead of 7, right? It is because of the Panthers. If you want the guy that you want at quarterback, you need to get to 5. New York knows that. And they know that there might be multiple teams invested in that, which means that 5 becomes even more valuable. If they do give up 5 overall, Carolina's got to trade back. Unless you end up in a rough spot here. Because if you have your guy, let's hypothetically say it's Malik, right? If Malik's your dude, you know that's your guy. And leading up to the draft, the Giants give up number 5. Somebody jumps up to get number 5. You still can roll the dice if you're Carolina, right? Because there's a lot of people that genuinely believe that Kenny Pickett's a better quarterback pick than Malik, if Malik's your guy. The Panthers may very well think Kenny Pickett's a better pick than Malik is. So it does not necessarily mean the Panthers will trade back. I mean, the Panthers could trade back. But they may also roll the dice that whoever jumps up to 5 ahead of them takes the other guy. Or, if you're Carolina, you may very well have Malik and Kenny Pickett 1 and 1A on your war board. And if that is the case, then you're set, right? You get either one of them. Unless somebody takes a quarterback 1 through 4. Then the Giants trade to 5, and they're both off the board. And now you're sitting there on the clock with both of your number 1 acquisitions off, and it's too late to trade back, which means you've missed out on a lot of trade capital and still might end up with a cat that you could have got at 15. I do not envy Scott Fitterer right now because he's got a gamble to make. Let's take a break. Coming up in the show today, got your NBA playoff predictions. We still got games tonight, so we're going to break down the play-in games and ask the question, could any of the 4 play-in teams end up being NBA champion? We're going to break that down. Coming up at 9:43-ish, we're going to be talking to our buddy Michael Pius from the First Tee. They've got a really cool event coming up for a charity I really enjoy talking about, the First Tee. Michael Pius, join us at 9:42, and you could win some fantastic prizes with an offer you're only going to hear about here on the show. Later on in the show, we'll talk more Carolina draft strategy. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Tell you about my friends at Prisma Health. Ladies and gentlemen, Prisma Health right here in the Upstate, the official healthcare provider for the Gamecocks of South Carolina, the Tigers of Clemson. If you are familiar, you may have heard of that rivalry. It's relatively large in this area. Some people have. Those two teams don't agree on much. You talk to Tiger fans, you talk to Gamecock fans, and you talk football, they don't like each other. But there is a reason that both of those schools, both of those universities, when their athletes are in need of medical attention, send them to Prisma Health. It is because they are readily accessible with locations all around the Upstate. It is because they have some of the most experienced and knowledgeable staff on their healthcare professional roster that you are going to find anywhere, not just in the Upstate, but in the state. They've also got the most recent and up-to-date technology and information to make sure that when you have a healthcare need, you can trust that the healthcare professionals at Prisma Health are there for you and make your health their priority. Check them out online at prismahealth.org. Prismahealth.org. You can learn more, set up an appointment, or just get to know Prisma Health before you go work with them. It's our friends at Prisma Health right here in the Upstate. By making tacos. All right, good morning, stream. So, Steven, I'll talk about that later on. It's a big help, but, losing Devontae, I don't know that Sammy Watkins replaces Devontae, right? I still don't think they're as good as they were last year, and it didn't happen last year. Mike, cheers, brother. Welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Appreciate you coming by. Everybody else that's watching in the quiet, not commenting, welcome. Great to have you guys. Appreciate you coming by.
So I'm not sure how long this hat lasts for me because I think I look like Sam Kinison, and it's really bothering me. it's fitted. I'm trying to break it in, but my head is just way, way too big. And, so I'm having that problem. I wonder if maybe I should get like a mannequin head and like put the hat on it. Will that stretch it out? I don't know, because I'm not, even though I have like 10 hats in my back seat, I'm not that big of a hat guy like Rob. But as the hair recedes more, you got to make some decisions. I can definitely rock the headband like the fam does, because a bunch of family members 60 and over, they all have the headband going, like more like biker gang type thing, and they all kind of look like biker gang type thing. I suppose I do too. But I'm not quite there yet. I do that on occasion, but not often. I also like the things that the NFL players wear, which I have a Kansas City one, also too tight. But there again, if I get a mannequin head and then find out that my own head is bigger than a mannequin head, or those styrofoam head things that people put hats on and stuff, I don't know if it will depress me or not. So I'm not quite sure what the solution is. I'm also concerned that Rob waited till really late in the break to leave. Would it be off base if I found someone in the building who has a bigger head than me and ask them to wear my hat for a day? I mean, would that be a bad thing? I know. Now you can't unsee it. So
No, I can't. You're absolutely right. Steve saw me wearing the hat backwards on the stream the other day, and he said he's getting another batch made of fitted ones, and he's going to embroider the logo on the back, too, so we can wear them backwards.
Which would be a good move.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this is a show for your boys, not, that man show, and they would never wear their hats backwards. I'm just kidding. Diesel wears his hat backwards all the time. I'm not sure I've ever seen Mark Ryan wear a hat, so if he did, it would be fancy.
So, two things. Number one, after hearing Offsides with Mark and Diesel yesterday, I've realized that our two shows have shared a disproportionate number of I was just in the bathroom and stories on the air. But I was just in the bathroom and Lonzo and I have started this fun game. In the restroom, there is an Alexa, and ordinarily that Alexa is tuned into the radio station of whichever the most recent on-air talent was in there, because we're all egomaniacs and love to hear ourselves on the radio.
Or this morning before it was changed, it was on country. Wonder who did that. Yeah, if you lined everybody up on the wall and went, that guy listens to country, there's a large guy who would automatically.
It wasn't me.
It automatically, you could call him a fat boy, that automatically would be pegged as the country guy.
I listen to country, but I haven't done that yet. However,
this was old school Conway Twitty type stuff. Yeah.
I saw George Jones in concert before he died, son. The good stuff. So Lonzo and I have this fun game where it started with a joke I made on the air not terribly long ago about the genre of Icelandic jazz music. And now, when I go in there, as I'm leaving, I will tell Alexa to play insert random country, insert random genre of music, right? Like yesterday, I told her to play Chinese big band music. No particular reason. That's just the first country and genre of music I thought about. And then you push the little red button on the Alexa, which disables voice commands until it's pushed again. So if you go into the restroom and you're not really paying attention, and you go to do your business, and then you realize that Chinese big band music or Icelandic jazz is playing, and you go, Alexa, she won't respond anymore. So you are now officially stuck until you have concluded your endeavor, right? So I go in there, and I don't know who it was that was in one of the stalls, but Icelandic jazz was on the Alexa with the red button pushed. And I open the door, and I go in, and the song that's playing is just a saxophone solo, right?
Oh,
just
that thing was still going on.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
because it started when I was in there and came back in the room.
Here's the
That's
thing.
long.
It's just a saxophone. It was Icelandic saxophone because you could tell it was like York, 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 York. It's a better joke than I got credit for. So, anyway, one single saxophone is playing, and then the entire band kicks in loudly. And I hear from the stall, what the hell? Now, at this point, I want to laugh out loud, but I hold it in because I need to know what happens next. So I just hear, what the hell, really loudly, followed by, Alexa, Alexa, Alexa. And she doesn't change. Then, and I really hope this isn't someone I was responsible or that is responsible for signing my paycheck. But then I hear, whoever's in here, push the button. I did not push the button. I just left.
Hey, man, when you go in there, it's your responsibility to look at everything that's going on. And if you didn't, just deal with it.
Situational awareness, people.
Absolutely.
Should have noticed Alexa was red before you sat down to conduct your morning business. Now I want to send out an email later that just says, who keeps putting this weird jazz on the Alexa in the bathroom? Just to clear my name.
I think we know. I think everyone knows that it's us doing it. I mean, even if we didn't mention it on the air, they would know it's us doing it. So, I mean, and I'm okay with that until we get a cease and desist email.
What the hell? It's fantastic. Because the volume had to go up 10 decibels on the spot. Oh, it was great. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio.
I hope it was the guy who was listening to country.
Hey, I've teased this story all week. I haven't gotten to it yet. I follow my Icelandic jazz bathroom story with the heartwarming story of Jim Nantz. So we all know when we talk about the Masters that Jim Nantz opens every year with the famous catchphrase, "Hello, friends." And it's become rather iconic over the years. In fact, every time I go into my fake NPR voice, I just say, "Hello, friends." Well, after delivering it for years, Nantz said that on a podcast he was doing, Nantz said that the most common interaction he gets with fans is people asking him to record a voicemail message for them, starting with, "Hello, friends," which I get it. Nantz was also asked to deliver the line in a cameo appearance on How I Met Your Mother at one point, which I was like, oh, damn, that's Jim Nantz. Nantz got asked, where did "Hello, friends" come from? How did he come up with that catchphrase that has become so iconic and connected as much as anything else has been to the Masters? Well, Nantz told the story. He said that he's very close to his father, Jim Jr. Apparently, Jim's a third. All the greats are. Very close with his father, Jim Jr. And his father suffers from Alzheimer's disease. And so he goes in and out of memory loss. Nantz said that when his father ultimately ended up having to be moved into an assisted living facility in Houston, that to him and his dad, it was important that anytime that Nance be on TV, the TV in his dad's room be turned into whatever Nance was covering so that his dad had a familiar sound, a familiar voice talking to him while he was struggling with Alzheimer's. Now, his dad passed away in 2008, but between 1995 and 08, when his dad was fighting Alzheimer's, Nance would always very simply say, "Hello, friends," because he said his dad always told him having friends is the most important thing you can do in life. He said his dad was that guy that was just friends with everybody and told him that there's nothing more important you can do in life besides having great friends. Friends that would do anything for you and you would do anything for. So he said when he talked to his dad, and his dad gave him those lessons, his dad told him after hearing it one time, when he said, "Hello, friends," because his dad was watching a broadcast with some of his friends. He said, "Hello, friends," to talk to his father and his father's friends. And he said his dad called him afterwards and was like, "You should use that. That should be what you say." He said, "If you didn't make that call, it probably would have been a one and done. I've used it almost every broadcast ever since. It's not some made-up cornball saying. It has meaning to me, and it has meaning every time I say it on the air. When I say it looking into that dark hole, that big lens, I feel my dad's presence. It calms me." And that's where Hello Friends came from. I don't have any take on that, Lonzo, other than that's a really nice story from Jim Nance, and I appreciate it. And that's being sincere.
That is an awesome story, and I never would have expected that that's where it came from. And now, every time I hear him say it, I'm going to think of that story. And that is so cool that he honors his dad that way.
Yeah, that's great. When I was doing boxing play-by-play, so I was on camera, like I was doing, not like HBO fights, but pay-per-view fights. Towards the very end of Roy Jones Jr.'s career, I would do color commentary and then in-ring interviews after fights. And I very frequently would tell friends and family of mine, I'm going to say this on TV. Just know when I do, I'm thinking about you. I get it. And my dad, being the second most important person in my life behind only my mom, having lost my dad at a relatively young age, I read that story the other day and I was like, all right. Somebody done decided to chop onions in the office today, I guess. Good on Jim Nance. That's a story. I love it. Appreciate Jim Nance sharing that with us. That's it. That's all I wanted to do was share that story because I liked it. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we've done some NIL talk this week. I got one more story for you. And we've talked about the fact that a lot of you guys have the very bad opinion that, players get money, this is going to ruin them. This is going to spoil them. They're not going to understand the value of their college career, et cetera, et cetera. Well, first off, a bunch of Clemson athletes this week helped fund and set up an NIL that is solely for distribution of resources to charities. So you're already wrong. One Penn State student has shown that he's putting a business acumen into this. These kids are smarter than you're giving them credit for, and we'll prove it when we come back. I'm Rob, he's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
So I'm going to say we because me and Stream were discussing mannequins to stretch your hat out. And the fact that I'm concerned that the mannequin head would be smaller than my head, and it probably would be. Do you think they make mannequin heads for, larger heads? Because wouldn't that work? You're a hat guy. I mean, you know about stretching fitted caps, I'm guessing. I mean, is there a way to... look at that. What is...
That's a hat stretcher.
A hat stretcher.
It literally is made for what you're talking about. it's rounded so that it doesn't misshape the hat. And then you just turn that little handle in the middle, and it stretches out the brim of the hat.
Rob Brown Show. Hey, Michael. We just went to break, so we got about 2 minutes or so, and then Rob will be right with you. All right, hang on. All right, so how much does a hat stretcher cost?
Let's see.
And would it be worthwhile for someone who doesn't wear hats often, but maybe he doesn't wear hats often because they don't fit because they need to be stretched?
Looks like you can get one in the ballpark of $17, $18.
$20 because it's probably, you got to throw shipping in there too.
Amazon Prime, son.
Oh, okay. Which we have, so I could do that. I know Lisa's not watching because she would have already ordered it. So if she was. So for a hat stretcher, do they have it for larger size heads, or is the hat stretcher for all size heads?
I believe it is made for...
Because if it just stretched the middle part out, then the side part, I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of hat it is. I'm going to be discussing this tomorrow on the Upstate Pulse about how, you see all the stories, you hear all the stories about how obese America is, but still yet retailers decide to put out, small, medium, large, maybe an extra large. And then all their clientele is much bigger than that. And so they go, sorry, we don't have your size. Why wouldn't you be smart enough to go, okay, let me look at the people who come up and buy these shirts, or a hat in this case, and go, okay, it would be smarter for me to make the sizes bigger because I'm going to make more money. Whereas I have to haul around all these small, medium, and large shirts that no one buys. I could put in 1, 2, 3X. I'm sold out within, an hour.
I would assume the number of people buying 2X and 3X is not that great.
You know why? Because there's no availability for it. You can't buy it if it's not there.
No. I'm saying there
are too many people. There are too many people wearing shirts smaller than what they should be because in their head they still think they fit that shirt. A recent email comes to mind, and all I thought of is every one of you guys are liars except for me. Every one of you guys are liars. And you're not even fooling yourselves. Okay? You're just not. And I don't care if you make fun of me for me wanting a 3X because I have a really long torso and shirts tend to,
I think you'd be better.
And my midriff is scary. Scary good.
I'm out. I'm out of this conversation. I have nothing else to add. Keegan, welcome, baby dog. Miss Lisa said, OMG, horrified face.
Hey, Lisa, they have hat stretchers, and you can get one on Amazon Prime. Rob just showed it to me. So hats don't give me headaches because they give me headaches. I've said many times that if Predator came to this building, I am Prime. I'm the skull he's going after. It's not my fault. I had nothing to do with it. It's genetics. And no, I didn't have some Barry Bonds years where I just decided to make my skull bigger. You don't need to roid up for radio. Good. I've been informed of a purchase. If we do indeed buy one, I'm going to bring it in studio, and on stream we can demonstrate on how you stretch a hat properly. How do you know if it's too far, though, when integrity is no longer in question because the hat rips apart?
Well, you also need to...
Do you measure the thing to your head as far as the stretcher thingy?
You realize you can get your hat size, right? Like, you don't just have
Yes,
to
I
guess.
wore a helmet, Rob.
Yeah.
that had to be specially
So
ordered because,
you
know,
get
it
your
was an
hat
in-between
size.
size. And yeah.
You get your hat size. Then you buy a hat that is your hat size.
If one is
and you
measuring
stretch
one's
it to
head,
necessary.
is it across the forehead or where
It's
do you measure your
across-
head?
Right across the
The
just
above
right
of the brow,
eyebrow
above the
ridge,
brow?
yes.
Okay. All right.
Or just put a hat on and then mark where the hat touches the largest part of your head, and that's where it goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to the phone lines we go. Welcome in a friend of the show, a gentleman who has been with us many times on the air, and I hope will many times more. He is the executive director of the First Tee Upstate South Carolina. He is Mr. Michael Pius, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Mike, what's up, big fella?
How's it going, Rob? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. You know I'm always happy to. I love what you guys do. I love the stuff you guys do for the kids of the upstate. And more importantly, Michael, actually less importantly, but you get the point. Less importantly, but still awesome, you guys throw some pretty gnarly events for us grown-ups to have a little fun while we also do some stuff for the kids of the upstate, which I think is great. And you got a pretty big one coming up here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks away from the Kentucky Derby. We're excited. This is our biggest event of the year, and we're going to be in downtown Greenville at the Commerce Club from 5 to 7:30 on Saturday, May 7th. We got a great event coming up. A lot of great silent auction items. We're going to have Jared Emerson come and paint again. He's a local artist, which probably a lot of your listeners have heard about, but he paints with his hands. Last year, he did a painting of Arnold Palmer upside down, and then flipped it around and shocked everyone with his really cool painting of Arnold Palmer. This year he's going to do something similar but also different. So yeah, it's going to just be a great event, and obviously watching the Derby and having a lot of fun, getting dressed up with their big hats and bow ties and seersucker suits and all that. So it'll be a great party.
So I've got to come clean, Michael. I've got to come clean and admit to you that the Kentucky Derby is my least favorite major sporting event, right? Like I'm not a horse racing guy. I don't get it. We do like weeks of build up for a 90-second horse race. And the worst part is I get all these people who start calling and texting into the show as the horse racing experts that they pretend to be. However, Michael Pius, I love a good Kentucky Derby party. That's where the money's made. And you guys have it coming up at May 7th, which, again, I'd like to thank you for making the Kentucky Derby now an event worth going to with the First Tee of the Upstate.
Yeah, I mean, I think even before my time with running this event, I'd watch it, but I wasn't too interested in it. But to your point, it makes for a great party. Great excuse to get all dressed up, have some mint juleps, grab some great food, be in great company. So a lot of people that care about the kids that we're impacting through our program are donating, are bidding on some silent auction items, and get to see a pretty cool experience with Jared Emerson too. So, and we're just doing amazing work here in the upstate for our kids. The past 2 years have just been brutal for our young people, and being isolated, being kind of stuck behind their computer screens, and now we give them an opportunity to get out in nature, to be with their peers, to be with great mentors, our coaches, our volunteers that want to make a difference in their life. And for your listeners that may not know about the First Tee, we're a youth development program first and foremost. We're teaching kids life skills. We're building their confidence. We're giving them skills like interpersonal skills and understanding on how to manage their emotions and goal setting and resiliency skills. These are all things that will make them good golfers, but even better people. And we're doing it in the elementary schools. We're in over 100 elementary schools from Gaffney all the way down to Anderson. And then obviously, area golf courses all across the upstate right now and in 4 counties. So, we put on a lot of events, a lot of fun events, and a lot of great activities and clinics for our kids. We just had one a couple weeks ago for our L's for Autism program in conjunction with the USC Upstate Boys and Girls men's and women's team. And, our girls golf program is on fire. So, if your listeners have some young girls that want to get involved in the game, we'd love to have them involved in our programming. But events like the Derby Party make it all happen. So we're really excited about 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Absolutely. Michael Pius, the executive director of First Tee Upstate, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. And Mike, we were talking on the phone yesterday setting this thing up, and you said you got a pretty gnarly little reason for people to jump on board and get their tickets to the upcoming event now.
Yeah, they want to, if you're in your car, pull over because you want to buy your tickets right now. You want to buy them right now because we've got 4 clubhouse tickets to the BMW Charity Pro-Am. We're very thankful for the BMW Charity Pro-Am to donate those tickets to us. So we're going to be raffling those off. We're going to draw a name at noon today on our Facebook page. So your chance to get into that drawing is now. So make sure if you're at home, if you're off work on Good Friday and you're listening on your smart device or whatever, your Alexa, get on your laptop, purchase tickets right now. We've got 2 types of tickets. We've got a general admission ticket for $75. That gets you into the event, all the great food and mint juleps that you want, bidding on the amazing auction items and watching the exciting live performance by Jared Emerson. And then, of course, watching the Derby on all of our displays that are provided by Best Buy. So that's our general admission ticket, $75, gets you into that. And then we have this is an amazing VIP experience. You came out last year to our VIP experience out at the Performance Center. Unfortunately, we can't go out to the Performance Center again this year, but we've got a great ticket for the VIP. So that's $200 per ticket. It includes a ton of stuff, and it's all on our website. But the 2 big things, you get in a drawing for a fitted set of Strixon irons, 3 through pitching wedge, which is a value of over $1,000. And then also you get an Uber credit for $25 to get you to and from the event, so you can enjoy all the mint juleps you want and be safe. And it's also Artisphere weekend, which no one wants to park downtown Greenville on a weekend, and especially Artisphere weekend. So this gets you an Uber credit and allows you to get up and back to our event. So also a special bourbon tasting by Maker's Mark and dessert tasting. I mean, the VIP experience is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about the horse race at this point. Michael Pius is the executive director of First Tee Upstate. Your Kentucky Derby viewing party is May 7th at the Commerce Club in Greenville. Mike, I'm really sorry, buddy. Got to run to break, but glad to have you on, buddy. Sure. I know it's going to be a killer event. Hopefully, I'll see you there, brother.
Sounds good. Thank you.
There you go. That's Michael Pius, executive director of the First Tee of the Upstate. Go to firstteeupstate.org. Firstteeupstate.org. Get your tickets now and be there. I will be, because obviously. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's hour number 2 of the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. This is the most energetic sports talk radio show in all the Palmetto State. It's the Rob Brown Show. I'm Rob, the great one Lonzo, behind the button switches, levers, knobs, gears, pulleys, wheels, and other simple machinery required to get us on the radio on a daily basis. So glad to have you guys along for the ride with us today. Hope you join us on the air at 844-FAN phone, 844-FAN-FONE, 844-326-3663. You can also text us on the Preferred Home Services text line. That number is 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. Story I wanted to get into, thanks to Michael Pius, by the way, First Tee Upstate. Incredible charity. Love what they do. I have told you guys many times that youth sports, I believe in my heart of hearts, is arguably the best way to teach kids life, right? I mean, if there is a lesson to be learned, it can be learned somewhere in the world of sports. Whether it is being a good teammate, how to win with dignity and lose with grace, cooperation, patience, strategy, critical thought. And on top of that, sports are awesome. And golf is one of the most unique in that aspect. Because golf, being an individual sport where it's not even really you versus other golfers, it's you against the golf course. You don't have patience playing golf, you will drive yourself mad. You've got to learn patience. You've got to, you got to learn how to practice, right? Not just how to practice, but how to practice the right way. You got to learn how to practice. You've got to learn how to tune out distractions. You've got to learn to adapt on the fly. Golf's a really good sport for teaching kids life lessons, and First Tee Upstate works tirelessly not just to make golf accessible to younger kids, but to make golf accessible to kids that don't have the most fortunate of backgrounds. Golf's an expensive sport. I've been playing my whole life. I have spent far more money than I should have to be as bad at golf as I am. It's a tough sport, which is why I've said for years, accessibility for less advantaged use is a huge thing to me, and First Tee Upstate is doing that. So go to their website, firstteeupstate.com, firstteesc.com, excuse me. Get your tickets to that Kentucky Derby watch party. I'll be there. Can't wait. And if you do it in the next 57 minutes, you got a chance to win passes to the B&W Pro-Am, which I went to last year. I had no idea how much fun that event is. That's a blast. Yeah,
I went a couple years ago. Mark and I went to broadcast live from there. It was pretty cool.
Oh, it's great. It's great. So go get your tickets.
Especially all the celebrities. I mean, there's some guys that come in that
sure
that you're like, they're here, and they actually are there.
I met Larry the Cable Guy last year, who was wearing custom golf shoes that look like Toe Mater from the Cars movies.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. We're great.
I know on these airwaves, we've had Aaron Rodgers, who's been there. We've had the Tool Time Girl, and for some reason, why is her name?
Heidi.
Yeah.
That's all she'll ever be.
And
I say that with all the respect in the world.
I wasn't there. I was back at the studio, and she said, "Hello, Lonzo."
I'd have lost my mind.
I was like, okay.
I'd have lost my mind.
That was cool. Also, we interviewed Michael Collins, the used to be caddy, stand-up comedian that's on ESPN all the time, Miss America, a ton of people that are there. And it's really cool that you can, we've been able to interview them, and also you get to see them, and they're out there playing, and some of them are really good.
Last year, Ken Griffey Jr. was there. And for those of you that check into the stream,
he's right over there.
at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching The Rob Brown Show, liking and subscribing on YouTube. If you look over my left shoulder, we literally have a fathead stand-up cardboard cutout Ken Griffey Jr. because Ken Griffey Jr. was the coolest athlete of all time.
I had to move him because someone had moved him away. I think that he's blocking something. I don't know what he's blocking exactly. So I moved him back.
We got Ken. He's right there.
Yeah. I'll tell.
Oh, I know there's a story coming. I was just
you'll
not
get
going
it
to
later.
hint at that.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I'm not telling the story. I'll tell the story on the stream.
Gotcha. Fair enough. So anyway, Ken Griffey Jr. was there, and immediately was like, not only am I getting it, but I have a hat from my Little League days. Some of you guys may have heard this story, but for those of you in the new audience here in the new time slot from 9 to noon, I have a hat. When I was a young man playing Little League baseball, my dad was the coach of an all-star game. I was scheduled to pitch and or play first base in that all-star game. Well, you got your 45 minutes of warm-up before the all-star game, and when it was time for Rob Brown to take BP, Rob Brown turned that hat around backwards, like Ken Griffey Jr. used to did. So I put the hat on backwards, and the old man walks up to me, and I'm emphasizing the word old this time. The old man walks up to me, and he goes, "Hey, son, turn your hat around. That's not how you wear a ball cap." And I went, "Ken Griffey Jr. wears it backwards in batting practice." And he said, "Well, when you make Major League Baseball, you can do what Ken Griffey Jr. does. But out here, on my team, we wear our caps forward." And I went, "No, Ken Griffey Jr. is the best baseball player on planet Earth. If he wears his hat backwards, I'm going to wear my hat backwards. I'm going to play like that guy." And my old man said, "You can turn the hat backwards or you can get off my field." This is my dad. Turn your hat
I was
backwards.
gonna say, you talk that way to your dad? No.
This was one of probably 3 rebellious moments in my life.
I was gonna say mistakes that you made.
Yeah. Said, "Turn the hat around or get off my field." I went, "You're going to bench me for not turning my hat around." And I'm obviously paraphrasing. I was 9 when this happened. He said, "Yeah." And for whatever reason, Lonzo, I decided this was going to be the hill I died on. I wasn't doing it. So the old man walked over, grabbed the clipboard with the dry erase lineup on it, Lonzo, rubbed Rob Brown's name right off the starting pitcher's line. Walked to the dugout. I'm like, "Now, okay, I'm not starting." He goes, "Oh, no. You're not playing." I went, "Well, I'm not pitching. I'm playing first, right?" No. I told you to turn the cap around. You didn't listen. You're not playing." So I sat out that all-star game because I decided I was going to die on the hill of, if it's good enough to rock the backwards cap for Ken, it's good enough for me. So I brought that cap to the BNW Pro-Am last year because it would have been full circle if I could have got Ken Griffey Jr. to sign that cap for me. Except for, it turns out, apparently Ken wasn't the most sociable guy in the world. And that actually makes me, Lonzo, kind of glad I didn't get the opportunity to meet him, right? Because Ken Griffey Jr. was and remains a childhood hero for me. And had I met him and he'd been a jerk, it would have kind of ruined that for me a little bit.
Well, that's a risk we take, especially us. Anytime that we're about to interview anyone or anything, we have these discussions. What if this guy's not? And you have to plan for that. And I don't think we've met anybody, at least on the air, that has been that way. Not on this show. On the other show, I've.
Well, we're so charismatic and charming. We disarm people out the gate.
Yeah, when I was on Mark's show, there was a couple people that famously, like Jay Billis, who were not nice people, and that's fine. Keyshawn Johnson, not a nice person. But that's fine. You kind of knew that going in, but what would have been worse if you had met Ken Griffey Jr. and told him the story you just told on the air, and he said you should have listened to your dad, kid, and walked away?
I don't know if he would have, right? Because one of my favorite KGJ moments when he was playing for Cincinnati with his dad was they were playing center and left field together. And there was a hard hit ball out to left. Griffey Jr., obviously playing center, is the more rangy player. Sprinted over. Papa Griffey called the ball. Young Griffey ran in front of him and snagged it out from in front of him. The camera kind of gets them both in frame. Griffey Jr. turns and laughs at Griffey Sr., and Lonzo Griffey Sr. gets the most "I am your father" stare I have ever seen in my life. He just stares him down as Griffey Jr. runs to the dugout and tosses him the ball back. I think there was a streak of rebel in Ken Griffey Jr., right? That's why we liked him so much. I remember the old heads at the time. The old hats at the time did not like Ken because he rocked his cap backwards, because during BP his shirt was untucked. And these were all crimes against baseball and humanity. From the in fact, I had a coach, John Arthur was his name. His son Dana played first base on my team. So John hated Ken Griffey Jr. Hated Ken Griffey Jr. To the point that when we played on I want to say he coached the team when I played for the team sponsored by Holiday Inn.
I'm picturing the color scheme now. I bet it was awesome.
Green and yellow. Just all puke green and baby you-know-what yellow. Baby boat yellow. It was bad. So when I played for Holiday Inn, John Arthur was the assistant coach on that team. And John Arthur hated Ken Griffey Jr. Hated him. Because we all wanted to rock our hat backwards. We all wanted to go out with our shirts untucked. And you don't do that on a baseball field, right? That's for proper gentlemen. Untucked shirts and backward caps. What kind of heathen are you? What kind of barbarian do you think you are? We all wanted to do it. John Arthur hated Ken Griffey Jr., and I always remember that. It was one of those things that when you tell somebody they should not like a thing, you're better off not having mentioned it, right? When you tell somebody that's bad, don't get involved in that. All that does is make them want to do it more. So whenever we got together and played, it was backwards hats and untucked shirts for everybody. We probably never would have made a deal out of it, except for everybody talking about how awful it was. And it's like, well, now I'm in. Ken Griffey Jr. Love that guy. Love that guy. All right. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. You can also tweet us. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, or tweet everybody in the building at ESPN Upstate. And, of course, follow us on all the social medias at The Fan Upstate. All right, Texter says Fan is, that's from yesterday, never mind. Texter says, Fan, if the Panthers pick a quarterback in round number 1, the GM needs to be fired and never work in the NFL again. Here's the problem. You know what? Hold that. I'm glad you said that, Texter. When I come back, I will explain to you why the Panthers might pick a quarterback when no other team in the exact same position the Panthers are in would. I'll give you the reason why they go quarterback in the first round. Texter says, Rob, I enjoy getting absolutely plastered at the BMW golf thing. I'll tell you this. There were some folks who were well lubricated at last year's event, and it was hilarious.
Got to stay hydrated. It's hot.
Yeah, man. Of course you do. Also, they do a thing where if somebody gets a birdie, beer's $1 for like 5 minutes. Let's go golf. Come on, Larry the Cable Guy. Daddy's thirsty. All right, when we come back, why the Panthers will draft a quarterback in the first round, even if you think it's a terrible idea, as that texter does. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
By the way, as per our discussion on the stream last hour about shirt sizes, I looked something up. The average American man 20 years old and up weighs 197.9 pounds.
Oof.
So the average waist circumference is 40.2 inches. Okay, that's so the average waist is 40. The average man weighs 200 pounds. Also, the average man is 5'9", which Rob and I not average.
No, we are well above average.
Yes, we are. So this goes even further to prove my point that you have bigger sizes, because if the average is that means, of course, for the average to be that, there's going to be a bunch that are more and a bunch that are less, and it comes down to the middle. That's how averages work. And from what I've seen, the people that are into the shirts that I'm into, they're a little on the heavy side. I'm just saying, you make more money by having those sizes available. That's all. And if you look at averages and you put that against, okay,
195 is a large at best. The average man is a large. There's not that many triple X's out there.
It's more 198, and it's closer to 200, and I think 1X at least.
As somebody who ordered T-shirts from our old station, it costs more to get triple X.
It does. Right? No, I get it, but I think you make that up by if you double or triple your sales, you make up the money.
You're not tripling your sales in triple
Guarantee
XL
you
shirts.
would.
I guarantee you won't.
I guarantee you would.
Next time we go to a sporting event, I'm gonna keep tally. Next Wednesday at the Triumph game.
I'm not talking about
XL.
sporting events. I said the kind of shirts that I wear.
Right, which I also wear.
Not everybody is swole like Diesel and needs that, smaller size to show off your guns. I mean, I
need a medium chest and XL arms.
And by the way, if you're listening, you may think I'm joking. I'm not. I'm not joking. I mean, good on him. See, Steven gets it. He also has a long torso. My son is 5'9". He and I are the same height from the waist down, but my torso is so much taller that if you get the regular sizes, and all these shirts, they shrink up, including the ones that I just got at Comic-Con because of the material. They were kind of a thicker material. I got 3s, and they shrunk up already. And some people, that's what a fat guy would say. Whatever. I know I'm not skinny, but even when I am skinny, I'm still big.
So why would the Panthers go quarterback in the first round? It's real simple. It's Matt Rule. That's it. That's the reason, right? Now, Scott Fitterer, the GM, could overrule him. He might go, Matt, look, I know you're in a make-or-break season. I know that your future in the NFL is to be decided based on this upcoming year. But my job is to also consider the franchise moving forward, whether you are the head coach or not. And he might overrule him. But Matt Rule has this year, and I don't know what the necessary record is for Matt Rule to save his job. Okay? I think it's 8 wins. I think he's got to be on the right side on the winning column. I think 8 wins is it. I don't necessarily even need to think or do not necessarily think that he needs to make the playoffs. A lot of people have said it's playoffs or unemployment line for Matt Rule. I don't necessarily know that that's true. But I do think he needs to show significant improvement, right? And the other thing he can't do is go grab 4 wins early and then just fall off in the back end of the season, which he's done every year so far. I think 8 wins is the line for Matt Rule. And if you're Matt Rule and you are looking for 8 wins in a league that is quarterback driven, like it or hate it, it's a quarterback's league. You got to have one. We know Sam Darnold's not the guy, right? We know it. If you're Matt Rule, are you betting a paycheck on Cam getting you to 8? And oh, by the way, that's if you get Cam back, right? If Cam has accepted that he may be at the part of his career where he wants to be a backup, not get beat up as often, he may end up going somewhere else. Maybe Cam goes ring chasing. Who knows? But I do know that it's like every time I bring up Cam, I get a handful of texts from people going, it is time to move on from this guy. Stop bringing Cam Newton back. We don't want him anymore.
I like to stop bringing him back when they just only brought him back once.
Yeah, you get
only
it.
left one. Yeah.
Paraphrasing.
Well, Cam said he wouldn't play for, I forget what the record was, but it wasn't a, whatever the Panthers record was last year. He wouldn't play for a team like that again. So how do you know that Cam is willing to come back?
That's what I'm saying. If you're Matt Rule, you cannot be banking on 8 wins from Cam because you don't even know if Cam will come back. And, oh, by the way, if Matt Rule was going to be banking on 8 wins from Cam, Cam would already be a Panther. He's not right now, right? He'd have already brought him in. He'd have had him signed. He'd have had him getting ready. Because with Cam in the fold, there is no risk. If he's your starter, there is no risk in the draft.
Unless you've already told Cam Newton, hey, we're not taking a quarterback. We're going to bring you back, but we're leaving you unsigned until after the draft so we can use that to gain more capital to get better players.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much smokescreen you're getting by not having Cam on. And remember, you might tell him, we're going to bring you back. We're going to have you in there. But that doesn't mean somebody else doesn't come to Cam between now and then and go, here's a better deal. Right? Now, again, the list of teams without a starting quarterback right now is pretty much Carolina at this point, right? Seattle's got Drew Lock and Geno Smith.
I was going to say, you could put Seattle in there because do they? I don't know. But they're the same sort of situation, though.
Right. But even if you had them, the list is 2, right? No other team doesn't have their starting quarterback right now. Carolina needs it. So if you're Matt Rule, you got 1 year to get to 8 wins. What are you doing? Right? If you're Matt Rule, you play, well, Lonzo doesn't gamble. I do. And I will tell you.
It's not because I'm against gambling. I just don't do it.
Do it. Yeah, that's fine. Lonzo judges me quietly. That's all. As a gambler, there have been spots where you find yourself late in the day down, right? Tomorrow from 1 to 5 on the BetQL Network, I'll be hosting a nationally syndicated show called Betting the Cycle alongside former MLB player Cody Decker. And we had this discussion last Saturday. Sometimes you get late in the day. Couple of your bets don't hit. You find yourself down. And then you look and you see an underdog that's like plus 550 on the run line. But they're throwing their ace, and the other guys are throwing their third man in the rotation. And it's a super long shot, but if you want to get back up on the day and not walk out taking a bath on the night, you throw it in there as a wild card, right? That effectively is Matt Rule. He is down. if he wants to come up positive at the end of the day / season, he's going to have to take a flyer on a risky bet on an underdog and hope it cashes to put him back over. That's Malik or Kenny Pickett, maybe Matt Corral. But that's those guys. That's the flyer. That's the bet. If it is early in the day, it's 1 o'clock and MLB games have just started, and you got some bets on the table, you're not down, right? You're in a good spot. You're not down. You got a lot of chances to make some money. That's what would happen if Matt Rule was 10-7 last year. So you don't have to start playing heavy dogs hoping that one hits to make up for what you lost. Unfortunately, it is 9 p.m. There's one AL game left. The dogs are plus 550 on the money line, and Matt Rule's got to take a flyer on that. Not because he thinks the bet will hit. Not because he thinks it's a safe bet. But because the return on risk there is big, and it would put him back on top. That's the reason Matt Rule would take a quarterback. That's the reason Scott Fitterer would take a quarterback. Because Matt Rule says, Scott, look, I get it. You don't believe that Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral is the future of this franchise. And frankly, I don't know that you're wrong. But what I do know is that I got to get to 8 wins. I'm not doing it with Sam Darnold. We clearly don't trust Cam Newton, or else he'd be a Panther right now. P.J. Walker got his chance last year. He didn't break out either. I need a quarterback. And while I don't know if any of these 3 guys are a franchise quarterback, they're a gamble, but we know Sam Darnold is not. We know P.J. Walker is not, and we clearly don't have the faith that Cam Newton is. It is better to have a gamble breakout franchise quarterback as a maybe than not have one at all. Because I got news for you. You could put the best offensive line in the National Football League in front of P.J. Walker. He's not getting you 8 or 9 wins. You can put the best offensive line in football in front of Sam Darnold. He's not getting you 8 or 9 wins. Question mark, maybe Cam could fight you to 8 or 9. But if you're Matt Rule today, is that the game? Are you staking your job on that gamble? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is. Matt Rule is staking his job on whoever he gambles out there. So why would you not take the unknown instead of 2 definite no's and 1 maybe?
See, out of all the options you gave, Cam Newton is the most viable, and here's the reason why. Because you get some offense,
including the draft quarterbacks.
You get the offensive line, the higher offensive line picks. You shore up your offensive line because Cam Newton is just a 1-year guy. And I still disagree. I don't think Matt Rule's gone after this year, unless he goes over. I don't think he's gone. I think he gets another year. Because of the quarterback situation. And I think most people will look, including GMs and owners, at the quarterback crop coming out this year and go, okay, there isn't a guy this year that's going to lead anybody anywhere. But next year, there's some options. So you shore up your offensive line, you get it ready for the next guy, and you use Cam Newton this year because out of the ones you mentioned, even you believe that Cam Newton's got the best shot to get you wins. Out of those 3 options,
sure.
Yes.
Of the ones mentioned, you are correct. The question mark is very simply, if you do that, I don't know how many more years Cam Newton has, right?
Well, like I said, you count on him for 1 year, and you count on
what?
better.
Bring Malik in to mentor under him?
No, there are better quarterbacks next year. You shore everything up this year. Not that it's a lost year, because if Cam gets you 8 or 9 wins, you got a chance at a wild card. Since there are more wild cards now, you got a chance at that, which is an improvement over last year. And then you look at the quarterback crop coming out next year, which I do believe is going to be stronger than this year for sure. And you grab your quarterback next year. And then you've already got a solidified offensive line. You've worked on other aspects of the team, and you can bring that guy in, and he can learn as he goes and probably do better than what Cam did this year.
All right, a couple of texts that have come in on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Texter says, trade that pick for Baker Mayfield. Well, here's the other part of this. and this is where I was going to end up going next. You won't have to trade the first-round pick for Baker Mayfield. Cleveland's in a crap spot. They have to get ready or get rid of Baker Mayfield. They have to. It's not an option. He's got to go, right? Got to go. At this point, the only other team that might have been interested in it, would be Seattle. Well, Seattle just signed Geno Smith. They've got Drew Lock. Could they still bring Baker Mayfield in? Technically, yes. Not a lot of reason to, right? So Baker at this point is going to be damn near free. And I got to tell you, if I'm Scott Fitterer, I think that's the move I make.
You know, I believe that there will be people out there who would say, what's the difference between doing that with Baker and what they did with Sam Darnold? Because it's kind of the same situation, except for the fact Sam Darnold didn't win, and Baker Mayfield has. And you can say, oh, he had this great team around him. Yeah, he had a pretty good team around him, but he is one of the, or the winningest quarterback since Cleveland became Cleveland again. And he's gotten them in the playoffs. He's won a ton of games. He's definitely an upgrade over what they have now.
Yes. Like by a significant margin.
And he's a known versus an unknown with the draft.
And that's why I take Baker, right?
Yeah. Once you throw Baker in there, out of all those situations, I go with Baker.
Malik Willis might be a star. Might be a star. Kenny Pickett, I think, might be a good quarterback, right? Like top-end Russell Wilson. Top-end Russell Wilson. Malik might be an absolute star. I know what Baker is. I know what he is. Is Baker a guy that's going to get you to a Super Bowl? I think he's got the potential. What's he need? A good defense. What's he got in Carolina? I mean, up until this season, a good defense. They've got some rebuilding to do. Stephon Gilmore, by the way, is on a number of visits right now to get himself a new contract.
Stephon Gilmore is signed a 2-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts, according to several outlets.
Breaking-ish news.
There's no sense putting it in there now since we just, but I would consider, okay, it's breaking news.
That's actually a pretty good glass breaking sound. So there you go. So he's off the table for sure.
For a B movie. Yeah.
This show is the radio version of a B movie. It's fine. I go Baker. I know what Baker is.
Still award-winning, by the way.
It is. I know what Baker is. I know what he's capable of. I know what he needs to be successful built in around him, right? I know all that. I don't know what Malik is. I think he's got potential to be a star, but it's a big gamble. And it lets you keep the sixth. It lets you put a stud offensive tackle in front of him. It lets you build the weakest spot on that offensive line, your blindside tackle. That's the way to go. Baker may not be what Malik might be down the road, but you know what he is. He's a playoff. He took Cleveland, a 1-15 team the year before he got there, to the playoffs. Give him a left tackle. Let him roll with the wide receiver and tight end set he's got in Carolina, which is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Use those later picks to try to find you another diamond in the rough guard to stabilize that OL a little bit. Let Baker be Baker. It's not a bad fit. Texter says Panthers should get Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm in on that too. I'd rather have Baker between the two. But people have seen something out of Jimmy G. And let's not forget, I know this one's gonna aggravate. Rashad Beard was on vacation this week, so he'll rejoin us next week. It's gonna upset Rashad because Rashad has said, look, Jimmy Garoppolo had his best crack at it this year, and he could not get them over the hump. Right? I got to tell you, that LA Rams team was really good. Really good.
You mean the Super Bowl champion LA Rams team?
Yeah. Really good. Not being able to beat them in a very good NFC championship game does not scare me off of Jimmy Garoppolo. I would take either of those cats before Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, probably Cam Newton, even though I like Cam, minus the ridiculous-ass sexist comments he loves to make for some reason, right? And you know their quantity. Jimmy Garoppolo's an NFC championship caliber quarterback. Is Malik Willis? Not yet. Texture says, fan, look at where the Panthers are. Talk of using 6th pick to draft a at best career backup quarterback or bringing in a washed up career 50% passer. Again, look at this through Matt Rule's eyes. Look at Matt Rule's eyes. 8 wins to keep your job. Who's your pick? Let's take a break. When we come back, I teased it yesterday. We'll get into it now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to know your host Friday. For those of you in the new time slot, this is where you get to ask Lonzo and I anything that you want. And we will answer it without breaking FCC guidelines or state law as honestly as we can. That's coming up next on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Zach said Brett Favre to the Panthers. Hey, Sean, welcome in, big dog. Glad to have you.
It's nice to know that there are many long torsoed people listening in the audience.
Long torsoed Americans,
Yes.
or LTAs, as we're more popularly known.
The lifeblood of the USA. Long torsos, baby. Yeah. Someone had to call to change the music.
Change it back?
I did.
Obviously.
Can't be having that. It's Icelandic Jazz Friday. Also, I can't shoot aluminum foil Friday.
Ooh, got robbed. Make your own intro, Lonzo.
Westland Financial. Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here. Rearview mirror as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime. Sad news from hockey, Mike.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who
Round one.
ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Ability to
The smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Tantalizing, but I think underwhelming quarterback.
ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon
You
light hits
rely
your
on-
pores, you can see everything, including dust?
ZDS.
And that pore dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air. ZDS. Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors, with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day.
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
And now an important message from music superstar Willie Nelson.
I've been fighting for legalization of the one thing that can bring comfort to millions. And of course, I'm talking about Skechers.
Can we stop this process? I don't think sketches are illegal anywhere.
Really? But they feel so good.
No, you can wear them anywhere, Willie.
Well, ask the Skechers.
Skechers comfort feels so good because Skechers is the comfort technology company and has all the fits and features you need for ultimate comfort. Find Skechers at
That was pretty funny.
Skechers.com or wherever stylish
What's
footwear
that?
is sold.
I wasn't paying attention.
You didn't hear the Willie Nelson commercial?
Oh, yeah.
The Skechers commercial?
It's really. It's. I don't know if it's the same one from the TV show, but the TV one was really funny.
Who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Granger, we're our MVPs, and we're always there for you, with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take this through the rest of the show. It is Get to Know Your Hosts Friday. This is the opportunity for you, especially those of you that are first-time listeners in the new time slot, to ask Lonzo and I any questions at all that you might have. It can be about sports. It can be about life. It can be personal stuff. And Lonzo and I will, to the best of our ability, without violating FCC guidelines or acknowledging the breaking of state or federal laws, answer them honestly and openly.
Do we get to ask each other questions?
Sure.
Okay,
See, why not?
Because I have one.
Oh,
it just came to me, which is, if you grow up on a golf course, is the golf course your backyard or your front yard?
Back.
It's your backyard?
Yeah, it's
okay.
your backyard.
All right. So do you get in trouble for playing in the backyard?
Well, no. See, we were true one percenters. We had an actual backyard, and then that backyard backed up to the golf course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you didn't walk out my back door and you're on the fairway.
Did you have a gate?
Oh, we had a pool and a fence.
Okay.
course.
All right. I was just curious if you had a gate in that backyard that led to the golf course.
Yeah, one other thing, you had the pool, and then the pool was fenced in, and there was a gate that went to that.
Did an errant beach ball ever go over the fence
we used to
and
go, yeah, we
hit
used
a
to go-
golfer in the
one of
head
the,
or something?
One of the favorite pastimes of young Rob Brown and his friends that we got in trouble for multiple times and never cared was when it got to be dusk and dark outside, we went and played flashlight tag on the golf course, right? Golf course, great place for flashlight tag.
Sounds like fun. I mean,
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, you got all the hills and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Lay down in the bunker. If you were real desperate to get away, take a dive into one of the ponds. Yeah, we used to play flashlight tag out on the golf course. That's how we grew up. Texter says, fan, do you guys... I knew this was coming. And I did it anyway. Do you guys consider a hot dog a sandwich? Lonzo, I'll let you go first.
No, a hot dog is a hot dog. It's not a sandwich.
It's absolutely a sandwich.
It's not a sandwich. It's a hot dog. I mean,
if I offered you meat between two buns, it's either an inappropriate adult movie or a sandwich. That's it. There's nothing else. And what is a hot dog? It is meat between a bun. Now, the only technical argument you could have if you wanted to get into semantics would be that it is a bun, right? Because it's connected at the bottom underneath the dog.
Yeah, so you could say it's like one piece of bread.
Right.
You could do that.
But I don't.
Which almost makes it a pita.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, because
And is a
again,
pita a sandwich?
that's the one that's a pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes still.
Yeah, but a pita is pita.
Right, but that's just a sandwich.
All right, the definition of sandwich is an item of food consisting of two pieces of bread with meat, cheese, or other filling between them, eaten as a light meal. So apparently you can't eat that for supper.
Hot dog's a sandwich.
All right.
Hot dog's a sandwich.
I'm gonna look up definition of hot dog now.
We all know what a hot dog is. It's a sandwich.
Yeah, but if it's on the internet, it's true. So, I mean, there's a Frankfurter, especially one served hot in a long, soft roll and topped with various condiments. Okay, so the definition of a hot dog is that it's served on a roll. Can a sandwich be on a roll?
Yes.
I think a sandwich is between sliced
if
bread.
I cut a roll and then I put meat and then I put the roll back together, it's still a sandwich. Can I have a ham and turkey roll, please? Nobody's ever said that sentence before.
I don't know. That sounds like something you'd say in New York.
Texas says, why don't we call meatloaf meat cake? Because Because
it has crackers in it or bread. It doesn't have, that the stuff that cake's made out of.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Get to Know Your Host Friday. That went well. Texas says, would you rather have fingers for toes or toes for fingers? Toes for fingers, right? Fingers for toes.
I already have fingers for toes. You haven't seen my feet.
Steven says, what's the best mayo? It's Duke's. You guys won me over.
No, it's mayonnaise, man.
It's not.
If you are devoted to a brand to the point that you want to fight people, you have problems. And there are some of you out there who have problems. It's become a cult-like, and it's kind of scary. It's all the when you look up definitions of a cult, you Dukes people are kind of on it. Now, I'm not against the mayonnaise itself. It's mayonnaise, but you people are weirding me out.
It's Dukes. And in the only person so far that has asked a question in the actual spirit of what I was offering to do here, Trey says, Lonzo, which team has more of your fandom, the Chiefs or the Buckeyes?
See, that's a good question.
That's what I was going for.
And here's what it comes down to. If they're playing head-to-head, which is a rare occasion, but sometimes NFL and college will be playing on the same day. If they're playing,
you mean like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it
you
can
head to head, and I'm like, they don't do that anymore.
No. Well, anyway, so if I had to choose between the two, it would depend on who they were playing.
That's not an answer.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Answer.
If the Chiefs
Who are you a bigger fan of, Chiefs or Buckeyes?
If the Chiefs, that's not.
You're creating this whole big hypothetical situation.
If the Chiefs were playing,
if
the Chiefs were playing the Jags and Ohio State's playing, I don't know, Indiana, I guess I'm picking Ohio State. But this argument is not a good argument, although I appreciate the question, because my fandom goes through my many voices. And some voices are more fan of Ohio State and some are more of Kansas City.
Trey, he's just not going to answer the question.
I did answer the question. I asked the question. I gave you multiple answers.
Keegan says, who is your favorite superhero and why? I mean, I named my dog after Gambit. I'm going to go Gambit. Why wouldn't it be Gambit, right? Technically, every time he's going to use his superpowers, he's got to do a physics equation in his head. He's from Louisiana. He's handsome and a smooth talker. He's basically me with superpowers. I'm going Remy LeBeau. My dog named after Remy LeBeau. Or my dog is Remy LeBeau, named after Remy LeBeau. All right, if you have any more questions that don't suck, let's get to know your host Friday. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Watch the clock, Reitzel. It's like your only job. Well, it's the most important one. And by the way, I hate that you didn't answer the question. I absolutely answered the question. I didn't answer it in a way that you thought I should answer it. But if you answer a question with a question, you're still answering the question.
No, you're not.
Yes, you absolutely are. Do not answer the question is do not acknowledge the question or just kind of ignore it.
It's not a statement, it's a question. So I have a different word for it.
Don't worry about it. We'll talk about wrestling when he gets back.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you gonna do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you can get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 5.73% APR with auto pay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high interest credit cards and save money at a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval, rates range from 5.73% APR to 3.99%.
When it comes down to it, Trey, I don't think you need to pick a favorite when it comes to NFL and college. And, I don't. Since they basically play on different days and all that kind of stuff. And if I had a chance to go to an Ohio State game or a chance to go to the Kansas City game, I'm probably going to Kansas City because I've never been there before. And I have laid on the field at Ohio State and looked at the sky in the middle of winter, and it was such a cool experience because we were there for Central District Indoor for track, and we were allowed to go out there. So, or let me rephrase that. No one stopped us from going out there. It doesn't mean we were allowed to go out there, but we went out there. Booker T just tweeted, "Why am I trending? Laugh out loud." Obviously, we're going to be a tad late starting this
Yeah, I
hour.
figured.
Just a little bit. Just a tad. I don't know. Would you equate your fandom by how much stuff you own of said team?
Say that again?
All right. So if you're trying to figure out what you're a bigger fan of, and you look at all the stuff that you own, like shirts and all that kind of stuff, is it?
Yeah, I would say it's absolutely an indicator. I wouldn't say it's a definite, but I'd say it's a big indicator.
But see, in my case, I have more Gamecock stuff than I have of anything because I did a Gamecock show for like 14 years. And so, of course, I'm going to represent, the team.
See, I'm a Saints over everything guy, right? Which is obvious. But I own a lot of Triumph gear. I own a lot of Swamp Rabbits gear. But I own most Saints stuff. The most Saints.
And if I looked at it that way, of course I'm going to have more Ohio State gear than Kansas City gear because I spent half my life in Ohio. It's where I was born. And I don't know if you knew this. If you're born somewhere and you live somewhere and the team's there, there's more stuff available to buy.
Yep.
Like every store, Walmart, Kmart at the time, all of them have Ohio State stuff. And still, if I want some really cool Ohio State stuff, I have family send it to me. And Trey, I'd probably pick Kansas City stuff because it would have a name on it, which would make it worth more.
All right, get to know your host Friday. You can ask Lonzo and I any question that you would like, and without violating FCC guidelines or state, local, or federal laws, we will answer them to the best of our ability.
I have another question to ask you. You haven't asked me any, but I want to ask you a question. All right, which one of your guitars is your favorite?
My Fender Stratocaster is my favorite.
Why is it your favorite?
It is the fastest of the guitars I play. It is easily the most well put together. Most of the rest of my guitars are kind of mid-quality guitars, right? Like I've got two different Ibanez Geos that I really like. They're fun guitars. Those are when I'm playing like harder rock, like a lot of power chords and a lot of palm mutes and crunches. Because if I pair them with the right effects pedal, they give me a very classic Metallica sound, and I like that real kind of sound. The Strat is easily the most versatile guitar I own. There's not a style of music I can't play on the Strat. I can play jazz, I can play country, I can play rock. I can play anything on the Strat. And when I'm playing full chords, open chords specifically, but bar chords as well, it gives me the fullest sound. And like I said, you pair that with the right effects pedal, it is easily the most versatile guitar I own. Easily the most versatile guitar I own. Good question. I'm going the Strat.
So if you guys don't ask us questions, then I'm just going to keep jumping in and asking Rob questions
we got
the
a few on
entire
the text
hour.
line. Preferred Home Services text line 71307. If you want to text in your question, you can. Start it with FAN, F-A-N, so we can read it on the air. Let's see. First one we got is ghost runners in extra innings or no. Put a guy on base or throw the 4 pitches. No, I'm anti-ghost runner. I know it does not impact pitcher stats. Cody said that to me on Betting the Cycle last Saturday. He said, why do you care? It doesn't impact stats. Because I feel like the great part of baseball is earning bases, right? It's earning bases. And that's 2 free unearned bases. And I know both teams get the unearned bases, but I think you should have to earn every base or be given every base. I mean, if you want to walk a guy, but again, if you're in extra innings, very rarely are you going to intentionally walk a guy in extra innings, right? With the DH in play, with the universal DH in play. I'm never doing that. You got an opinion on that one, Lonzo? Ghost runner in extra innings, 4 against.
I agree with you. Earn it.
Yeah. They should earn it. Everything in sports should be earned. Texas says, Fan, if you had to live without one sport, which one would it be? Now, the easy answer for me is lacrosse. With all due respect to lacrossers out there, I don't get lacrosse. I've never gotten lacrosse. I've tried to get lacrosse. I didn't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I'm going to go with cricket. If I have to live without one sport, I'm going with cricket. Although there's been a cricket game on Game Pass that I was very tempted to try just because I wanted to hear the announcers.
I've watched cricket. Cricket is like mutant baseball. So I like it to some degree because there's a lot of similar athletic requirements to cricket. I don't go out of my way for cricket, but if it's Sunday morning at 3 a.m. and insomnia strikes and that's what's on, I'll watch it.
I had an All-American baseball player hit me with a cricket paddle, so I just
they hurt.
Yeah, I don't want to ever.
I don't mind cricket. Lacrosse is the answer. I don't get lacrosse, right? I don't get lacrosse because it seems to me like with lacrosse, you can pretty much score every time as long as you don't mind getting hit really hard with a stick, right? Because I know you can run it, but you can't tackle the guy. You can bump into him. But if you get really good at keeping the ball in that little net on the end of your stick, it seems like getting run into is not enough to make you drop the ball.
By the way, I played a version of it that I think you would be for. All right. It was on a basketball court with bumper cars. And they took the hoop off and just put a hole in the backboards. And so you're playing lacrosse in a bumper car.
Oh, I'd be way down for that.
Oh, it was a blast.
I'd be way down for that. But then I can hit you with a car.
Oh yeah,
I'm in.
I mean, there's a chance you get an arm pinned in between, bumper cars or something. But
Yeah.
it's a sport. You're
Now-
gonna have injuries.
If you ask me which sport do I regularly watch that I would choose to live without, I'm probably going to go tennis. I like tennis. I watch tennis. I watch all the big opens. I watch all the cups. I watch a lot of if there's just a regular tournament on and they've got names in it, I'll watch it. I go tennis. The question you should ask is, which of the big five would you go without, right?
What's the big five now, though?
Baseball, basketball, football, soccer, hockey. Those would be the big five.
So I thought it was always big three. What, you just making it five just so you can include the sports that you really like?
It's my
Or
show.
is it really? Yeah, I know, but is it really considered a big five now? I mean,
I would say soccer and hockey are second tier behind baseball, football, and basketball, right? So I'll go big five, but I'm putting big five in there because soccer and hockey are high up on the list for me.
right. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it
So
may
yes is your
have
answer.
changed nationally, and I just don't know because I don't have my finger on the pulse like you do.
I would say if you asked me to drop one of those, the painful decision would be hockey. And I love hockey. I'm literally wearing a hockey jersey right now. I love hockey. Going to the Swamp Rabbits game tonight, by the way. They're at home. Need a win tonight to control their destiny and earn a playoff spot in the SPHL playoffs. Of course I'm going, right? But hockey would go. Soccer's too good at a national and international level to drop. Baseball, basketball, and football can't go anywhere.
By the way, I dare you to read Steven's question.
Is Mark Ryan a real-life face or heel is his question. I'll answer that at the risk of drawing the ire from my colleague and compatriot. I'd say Mark Ryan's the ultimate tweener. I think he's the ultimate tweener. I think Mark knows exactly how to push buttons, but I also think that Mark is one of the most upfront people about his opinions. I'll tell you this. I talk with Mark off the air a lot. Mark's opinions that go out on the air are Mark's opinions. They may agitate you more than they don't, but they are his opinions. He does not create hot takes for his show. Colin Cowherd is a heel, right? Because he fakes stuff for the sake of getting a reaction. Paul Feinbaum's a heel because he caters to the lowest common denominator of fans in order to get them to carry his show for him.
This is an interesting conversation because Mark has no idea what we're talking about.
So I'm going to go, he's the ultimate tweener, right? Like he is.
So you're calling Mark Ryan Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yeah, that's fair.
He even knows who that is.
Everybody does.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's a guy on the Tide commercials.
Yeah. Your guy needs to chill out. I'd say he's a tweener, right? Like he doesn't create. In fact, he and I, we went last Friday. He and I went to lunch with the two big bosses and a new associate over at Furman. Because we're gonna really start giving you guys some increased relationship with them. Very excited about it. Tell you more about that coming up in the next few months. We went to lunch, and the two big bosses were having a conversation. So I went to Mark and I said, "Hey man, I forgot to ask you that trade." So a couple of months ago, the Greenville Triumph played Clemson's soccer team in a friendly, right? And Clemson won 2-0. And Mark came home the next day. He's like, "You can't lose that game. It's embarrassing to lose that game, right? The Triumph should be ashamed of losing that game." And I'm like, that's a bad take, man. It's a bad take. The Triumph didn't have a finalized roster at that point. They had 3 guys playing that were effectively tryouts in that match, right? Hadn't done anything more than practice with the rest of the guys on the pitch, had not played. It was a tryout. Going with a backup goalkeeper. Like, that's not a real game. It was an exhibition. It was a practice game. It was a training game for them. And he's like, no, it's still embarrassing. I'm like, dude, you're wrong. We're about to have it out. That's what I mean. It was a genuine take from Mark. He didn't make it up for the radio. But also, I thought it was a bad take and told him. So that's why he's a tweener.
I just want to say, we don't normally talk about Mark because we don't need to. But I would say, from Mark's perception, someone who has worked closely with him for a couple of years, that he believes he's the face.
The best heels do.
Yes, exactly.
Still go tweener. Fan. Question. Does Rob really read all the text or just pick and choose? I read all of them that can be read, right?
I will say Rob does not read all the texts. You know why? Because some of them are for WORD.
Also
and
correct.
He cannot read them all.
No, as far as text sent to the fan, no. I mean, I guess technically speaking, I pick and choose. But I don't pick and choose based on what I like or dislike, based on whether or not you agree or disagree with me.
And there's also this thing, if you send a really long text, and you've heard this on several different radio stations, it will displace them and put them out of order, and sometimes others will jump in between,
Yeah.
and you actually have to try to piece them together as you're talking.
Yeah, and there's no it doesn't come through like number 1, number 2, number 3 off to the side. They just come in jumbled up, and if you send a long text, they get all mashed up. They get all mashed up. So if you send a really long text and I don't read it, it's probably because I'm having a hard time. And even then, I still try to struggle through it for you. But basically, it comes down to, if you send me something that is like wildly inappropriate, I won't read it. Do know I chuckle at them. Do know I laugh at them. I may not read them on the air. But if you send me texts that disagree with me or get into it with me, especially if you send me a text that calls me a bad name and makes me laugh. Yeah, I read all those. I read all of them. So there's your answer there.
I want you to read this last question, if you can see it.
I can say that, right?
You can. I'd rather you didn't, but I mean,
I got a text that simply says the word.
Keep in mind what you're encouraging if you do this. Keep in mind, that other show, they're all for this kind of stuff. I would like to think we're higher brow, but not trying to influence what you're going to do or not.
I got a text that simply read the scientifically accurate name of the male anatomy.
And I guarantee you, I know who sent that.
I bet you don't.
I bet there's someone we used to share an office with.
Nope.
I was gonna say because that.
I know who it is.
Yeah, because
it's not them.
Because he enjoys saying that word on occasion. Just to yeah.
And then, who was that? T2 texted you?
No, it was T1.
T1.
Yes.
T1 texts and goes, "Why is someone texting that word to the text line?"
Because we share a text line, and he's presently working over on WORD. So.
Texter says, "Okay, real simple question: are you going to Bristol Sunday?" As of right now, no, I am not. And it is not because of the lady friend or Easter celebration. It is because of some other stuff going on in my life that is I just have too much going on, right? If I was going to go, the premise would have been that I was going to go tomorrow, spend the night in Bristol, go to the race, come back. But I won't get done with betting the cycle until around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, which is too late to then drive 3.5 hours to Bristol. And then driving on Sunday would take up the entire day, and I have got a boatload of stuff to do. So unfortunately, as of now, I will also tell you, for the sake of getting to know your host, Rob Brown's a relatively impulsive guy. Like, I'm impulsive. And a solid chunk of the sporting events that I have gone to over the course of my life have been me waking up that morning and going, screw it, I'm going to the Braves game. And it's only 3.5 hours to New Orleans. I'm going to go to today's Saints game, right? It's a Sunday night game. I'll go. I'm very impulsive. So there is still a better than zero chance that I will wake up Sunday, I will see another advertisement for Bristol Motor Speedway and the dirt race pop up on the internet, and I'll go, hey, what the hell? Let's go. Why not? Right? Like, why not? The lady friend told me yesterday she still has not heard from the family about Easter Sunday plans. So as of right now, I don't even have Easter Sunday plans. My plans right now are sit on the couch and watch Bristol. And if that remains true through tomorrow evening, there's a very good chance I'll wake up Sunday and be like, you know what? Screw it. And I'll throw some gear in the car and head over.
See, I personally would get it if you don't go because you've joined the work 6 days a week crowd and you've got a nationally syndicated show. The first host in this building, I believe, to have a nationally syndicated show. That means it's heard
Lots of places.
nationally. Yeah, more than one or two. And so you're really busy on Saturday. You need some wind down time. Now,
Yeah,
you
and
may,
that's the other part. Is Sunday is literally my only day
yeah,
off.
yeah. So I get it.
Sunday is literally my only day off. So if the family plans come through with the Lady Friends family, then that's probably what I'll do. But like I said, that decision will finally and ultimately be made probably about 6 o'clock Sunday morning. Like the dog will wake me up at 5:45 to go out. I'll wake up and go, you know what? Why the hell not? Let's just let YOLO. Let's go. Why not? Texter says, Zoe, when did you first realize the difference between vapor trails and chemtrails? Oh God.
It was
Oh God.
it was about, I don't know, 22, 23 years ago while working the morning show with Russ Castle when I first heard of chemtrails and heard them described and started hearing all the things that go along with it. And then I don't want to say lucky because I think once we started talking about it, it appeared in the sky. Rob had never seen the grid, and he since, did the thing that the people in his ear tell him to do and discount it and go with the water vapor thing and all that kind of stuff. But we know that Rob's actually a plant by the government to try, or maybe by an alien government.
Maybe an actual plant.
To stop us. He could be, because you could be an alien plant. Plants could be made of, an alien could be made of plants.
Is this how Mark feels when we talk about wrestling? It must be. This must be what he feels like when we talk about
I think, this is a quote that I think is from Shakespeare. He doth protest too much. I believe it's Shakespeare. Is that Shakespeare? You're the haughty intellectual. I hear things and then repeat them. That's what I do because And more proof that Rob does read texts.
Scientific illiteracy is the biggest problem facing this country, people. Lack of critical thinking and scientific illiteracy is what will do America in.
I will say the person who wrote that text was they knew what they were doing. Wasn't an errant thought.
Openly
it was
trolling.
Yeah, and it's a clear sky out today, Rob. So we've got another 42 minutes or so left on the air. Now, because we're talking about it on the airwaves and they go all over the place, if suddenly chemtrails appeared, that would not seem suspicious at all to you because you're a plant.
Texture says scientific illiteracy sounds like something a government plant. All right.
See? They get it.
Can we go to break?
We could, but I'd rather talk about chemtrails. Hey, this song's called Volcanic Ash. Just wanted to let you know.
It's just water vapor. That's all. That's all it is. We can literally prove it. All right. Well, we're going to go to break. I'm going to go sit in my office for 4 minutes and sincerely regret doing Get to Know Your Host Friday. If you have any more questions you'd like me to ignore, send them to the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. When we come back, maybe we do Fanboy Friday. Maybe I just weep openly into the microphone. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan. I am begrudgingly back.
Have you detoxed? You good? You all right?
Yeah, I walked out there like, okay, just take a deep breath. And then the boss comes around the corner. He's like, I got these things for you. Awesome. I'm happy to do them. But I'm like, I just wanted to breathe in not chemtrails because they aren't real.
What did he bring you, like shirts or something? Ah,
No, some.
I was hoping for the arrival of something that will probably cling too tight and look bad on everybody. Our new station polos.
Yeah, buddy.
I wonder if station polos in colder climates use the same material.
I didn't love the material the old polos were made out of.
Yeah, me either. I absolutely hated them.
But I also don't want like cotton polos either.
I don't know why we don't have hockey jerseys or football jerseys. Well, I do know because it's more expensive, but or basketball jerseys. We're a sports station. Let's have our gear look like sports gear.
I found a website. They're moderately expensive, like $90. But I found a place that you can customize baseball jerseys. So we could get Rob Brown Show baseball jerseys with like the show logo on the front, our names on the back and the nameplate, whatever numbers we want, and then put the Fan Upstate logos on the shoulders.
Diddy got us some one time because he was talking about a certain phone company on the air,
Yeah.
and they sent us all. They're pink.
Yeah.
That will tell you what phone company it is. But that was pretty cool.
That is rad.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees.
I mean, I would also love like a football jersey or a hockey jersey with the fan logo on it and maybe a small logo of the show. I mean, that would justify somebody else paying for it. Kind of like with our bowling shirts. How we got logos for each station on the thing.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I am going to, you know what? I'm going to do this. Our buddy Tiger Pal Rachel on Twitter asked me about it, and we have Twitter coming up, so I'm going to address it quick, and then we'll do a minute of Fanboy Friday at the end of the segment. But I got to get this in because it's something that drives me nuts, and she asked. And it's a P1. Asking you shall receive, unless you want to do more chemtrail segments, and then you shan't.
Easy.
Said what I said. The Padres, the other day, a couple of days ago, were taking on the San Francisco Giants. It's Tuesday night. The Padres were winning by like a significant number. It was 11-2. For the Giants. Mauricio Dubon was at the dish with his team up 11-2 in the bottom of the sixth inning. Mauricio Dubon realized that the third baseman was playing deep off the back of the infield towards the grass. So Mauricio Dubon laid down a beautiful bunt right down the third baseline. Tapped it off the edge of the bat. Went about 6 feet past the dirt circle. Died in the grass. Mauricio took off the first. Gets on safe. Well, there was, of course, controversy. Quite a bit of controversy. Padres manager Bob Melvin was seen on camera looking at the Giants dugout and giving them the business. Padres first baseman Eric Hosmer, is a former Royals player, said he told Dubon his team was unhappy about the bunt when he got to first. He said, quote, I definitely told him how I felt, how we felt about it. He said it was a sign given to him by their staff. I just told him I think you've got to be a little bit smarter in that situation. You've been playing professional ball for a good amount of time. Obviously, if you're at this level, you've got to be smarter than that, end quote. Unwritten rule of baseball. Don't bunt when your team's got a big lead. The overwhelming majority of unwritten rules in baseball are stupid and we should stop. In what other game do you say, hey, you're beating us by a lot. Can you ease up some? You are beating us by 9. Can you ease up on us? No. You are a professional competitor. You don't stop competing, right?
Yeah, you ever have a bad day at work?
Yeah.
Do you wish someone would let up on you and then they don't?
Yeah.
Well, that's if you don't want them to score runs, stop them.
And before, the smarty pants out there right now that's texting the Preferred Home Services text line 71307 says, well, Rob, why don't you tell football players not to take out their starters at the end? Because that is an injury-based potential, right? You're up 27 and your quarterback gets his ACL popped. You're done for the year at that point. That is injury prevention. It is unlikely that your shortstop is going to get hurt laying down a bunt down the third baseline, right? But here's what I appreciate the most. What I appreciate the most is that Giants manager Gabe Kapler came out. Thank you for being a friend, Gabe. Asked about the butt afterwards. He said, quote, I fully support both of those decisions. I support the decision that Duggar, that is the coach who laid down the bunt sign, Steven Duggar. Or, sorry, no, I'm lying to you. Steven Duggar stole second base when the Giants were up 10-1. Then he talked about the coach who laid down the bunt sign. He said, I support those decisions. I support the decision that Duggar made. Also support the decision that Dubon made to bunt right there. Our goal is not exclusively to win one game in a series. It's to try and win the entire series. Sometimes that means trying to get a little bit deeper into the opposition's pen. And I understand that many teams don't love that strategy, and I get why. But it's something that we talked about as a club before the season and that we were comfortable with this strategy. It's not to be disrespectful in any way. It's because we feel it's the best way to try and win a series, end quote. Yes. You see, because the Padres and the Giants also had a game on Wednesday. And by getting guys on base, by forcing Padres pitchers to go deeper into their rotation, you limit their options out of the pen during Wednesday's game, and you make it easier to win that game too. Your goal is to win as many baseball games as you can. And by going ham and getting as many players to the dish as you can in game one, by forcing them to pitch as many pitches as you can in game one, you limit their options in game two. It is long-term strategy. Don't bunt when you're up 9. Don't have your third baseman playing 9 feet behind the bag, incapable of covering it. I got a new thing for you. It's batting strategy. Do you know what most guys try to do when they get to the bigs? Do you know where they try to hit the baseball? Where there isn't a person. It's pretty 101 stuff. The best place to hit the baseball is where there are not other baseball players waiting for it. And if down 9, you've got your third baseman playing 6 feet behind the bag, and your pitcher has a long follow through that does not allow him to clear the mound and field the baseball, hitting it just down the third baseline on a butt is a good strategy to get on base. To lengthen the game, to make them go deeper into their rotation. It's good baseball. I like baseball. I'm a baseball fan. I literally on Saturdays host a nationally syndicated baseball show. I like baseball. But man, sometimes baseball players get soft, y'all. We don't like when you're doing it down. Well, then don't let them go up 9 runs.
SAWFT. Soft.
Yeah. Don't let them go up 9 if you don't want that. You know what the best way to prevent somebody from bunting up 9 is? Don't let them go up 9. It's impossible to bunt when you're up 9 if you're not, up 9. It's not that tough. What a terrible take. We broke the unwritten rule. Either write it down or shut up. Drives me nuts. Nuts.
The chemtrail people have got you angry. Just angry about stuff. There's no way to be on a Friday.
Not the chemtrail people, Lonzo. You and Steven or whoever it was that texted that question in. That's who. You know what you did.
The skies aren't clear anymore either. Hey, there's a great question earlier from Trey. Ask if we are currently in a band, and if so, does that band play gigs?
Thanks for buttering me back up, Trey.
No, that was me. The question was a long time ago, but I just want to bring you back.
The answer is yes. I am in a band. I'm in an 80s, 90s cover band called Shenanigans. We do play shows, although I don't get to play as many as I used to, obviously, because they are 7 hours from here. But I have had conversations about getting my band up here to play a weekend's worth of shows, and all 4 of the dudes in it with me are game. So, fingers crossed, some point in the future, you may very well get to experience a Shenanigans show here in the upstate. I'm working on it.
And I used to be in a band, but I'm retired because everyone quit. so I'm retired.
Forced retirement.
And I'm too busy. So
yeah.
So there's that. When you guys play, even though it will probably be at a place that I wouldn't normally frequent, I'm going to be there. And I won't say I'm going to be in the front row because it might be intimidating, if people see me moshing and dancing around, which I'm known to do. Obviously, you've been out with me and see how crazy I am. I cannot wait to come and see you guys play when you finally get to do that because it's going to be awesome.
Fingers crossed. Could be fun. We'll let you know.
Wow. You got like 3 or 4 people to come out with that.
Y'all done tanked me on a Friday is what you did. You waited till the end of my week, the last hour of the show, and just tanked me.
Hey, don't blame them.
Unreal. I blame you.
No, you asked for this. Didn't you expect this sort of thing?
Yeah, I should know better. I should know better.
I got to say, scientific passion is disturbing. I mean, the anger involved with it. Wow. Why does the screen back there say we'll be back? What just happened?
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Yeah, neither did I.
Weird.
We've been having some Wi-Fi problems.
Brandon chimes in and says, those Padres didn't let up on my Braves last night. Yeah. Padres beat the hell out of the Braves last night. I mean, smoked the Braves last night. They didn't stop, right? If your thing is don't bunt up 9, shouldn't it be don't hit up 9? Don't get on base up 9. What's the difference between a laid down bunt down the third baseline and if he hit a laser down the third baseline that came down fair in the outfield? What's the difference? He's on first either way. This is the kind of stupid stuff that drives me crazy. Let's take a break. Come back. Twitter trending topics to wrap this thing up, and then I'm going home. My name is Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo's at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for spending some time with us. Hope you had a good week. Appreciate you guys joining us. So, looking forward to having Rashad on next Thursday from Panther Nation Podcast because I've got what I think happens for the Panthers here. The Panthers are going to end up with either Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield, right? I don't think a ton of us consider Baker Mayfield a cast-off quarterback, right? I know there are a lot of people who just don't believe Baker can be a good quarterback. They don't think he can be the guy. I think he can. I think he's already shown that he can, so I think he will be. So I think Baker's your guy, if only because you're going to get him for cheap. I mean, you have to pay him down the line if you want to keep him. But you're going to get him for cheap. And you're going to get him for cheap because the Browns have to move him, and there's nobody else in the bidding process now. The Seattle Seahawks, I think, have taken them out. But even if not, Baker and likely Jimmy Garoppolo are both available. There's only two teams that are looking quarterback right now, unless they're looking at the draft. But if you're looking at drafting a quarterback, you're not taking Baker or Jimmy G. You're drafting a quarterback, so they're out of the mix for the vets. The most cost-efficient maneuver here for Carolina would be to get one of the veterans, use the 6th overall on a good offensive lineman, or use the 6th to trade back. The Giants, by saying that they are looking at trading out of 5 and moving back, have opened the door for you. Because if anybody jumps up there, they are more than likely, although not guaranteed, more than likely doing it to look quarterback since there's only a couple available considered true first rounders. You can scare other teams into believing that's going to start a quarterback run. If there are a couple of teams that are looking to draft their replacement quarterback for a year or 2 or 3 down the line that want to take a flyer on Malik or Kenny or Matt, you scare them into thinking that the Giants moving back starts a QB run at 5. They jump in there so they can get their guy after whoever takes it at 5 does. You pick up another first rounder. You pick up definitely some second day and a couple of third day picks. Now all of a sudden, you got draft capital you are not going into this draft with, and you can still get a good offensive lineman middle of the first round. That's why I think it plays out the way it plays out. Carolina's going to have a vet QB next year. Whether it's Baker or Jimmy G, I don't know, but those are the guys I'm banking on.
Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he lets us know what is going on this weekend. It's Friday. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it is Friday. And our Friday starts in like 10 minutes. The first thing that's trending...
Mine started 22 minutes ago.
It did, but you asked for it. The first thing that's trending is Kane.
Like the wrestler, I'm assuming? I no idea. Now I looked earlier in the show. There were like 3 or 4 different professional wrestlers.
All right. There's a reason why. Look up Kim Kardashian.
So I saw the video yesterday.
Did you see what she was wearing?
Oh no.
No. You need to see what she's wearing. This is why Kane and Bam Bam Bigelow both are trending, because of what Kim Kardashian was wearing.
The fire suit.
Yeah, it's got fire on it, and yeah. That's why she's trending. And you look at it and you're like, okay, I don't know why. That's definitely an homage to a wrestler associated with fire, without a doubt.
Oh, that's Bam Bam Bigelow's actual wrestling suit.
Not that he would ever fit in it, but
right?
but still.
Okay, sorry. That's his left leg's wrestling suit. I did see, speaking of Kim Kardashian, who I do not like at all, and should not. You shouldn't either. Why are we still making these people famous? 2 things that popped up yesterday.
They're influencers, whatever that is.
One was that the Kardashians were at Disney World filming their reality show, and they got on the spinning teacups ride, which is like one of the iconic rides in Orlando.
And they were heard to say, ah!
No, quite worse. Quite worse. In order to allow the Kardashians to ride the spinning teacup ride, Lonzo, they let them jump the entire line, which usually is 45 minutes to 55 an hour of waiting to get on that ride. Let them skip the entire line, and then once they got on the ride, they didn't let anybody else on the ride. So they got that ride to themselves after getting to cut the line at Disney, and people are going, why? Why? All these other rides are empty. Why would you do that? And the answer is so they could get shots for their stupid-ass reality show
And they're
that
rich.
they got another one of. No, I've seen other celebrities go to Disney, and they'll get they'll get special treatment. Like they'll have a tour guide but they don't get the rides to themselves, right? Like they may get their own one teacup, but the rest of the teacups are filled with guests. The second thing that she started trending for is because video has emerged of her son, Saint, who is one of her kids with Kanye, was playing a video game online. Roblox. You know what Roblox is? I don't know what Roblox is.
Yeah, I know what Roblox is.
All right. So he's playing Roblox. And somehow on his Roblox game, up came an advertisement for an adult entertainment company advertising his mother's very publicly known sex tape.
Wow.
To which she grabbed his iPad, closed everything out, and then was like, oh, I'm mortified. Are you? Are you mortified by the multi-million dollars of fame that you got by putting that video out? Stop it.
All right, let's move on to something else while we got time. The Joker is trending.
Obviously, it is because the Joker did not, in an upset, win last Saturday's Upstate Pulse Ultimate Villains bracket.
That's right. Emperor Palpatine did. That's not why it's trending, though. DC is working on overhauling their entire movie everything universe, and
So
they
we're going
want
to pretend Jared Leto was never the Joker? Because I'm in for that.
they want to find their next Kevin Feige, and they want to make more movies like the Joker.
I'm good with that. I like it. I like the...
The last 20 minutes of the Joker was good. The rest was just, it was so drawn out. I didn't like the
That was the
pacing.
point, right? Like, I think the point was that it was supposed to make you feel manic like he did. I liked it. I really liked it.
Nah, they just wanted Scorsese and those guys to like it. That's why they did that.
That's it for us, kids. That's a week in the books. When we come back on Monday, South Carolina's Garnet and Black game is tomorrow night. We'll break that game down for you. And now, with most colleges having their spring games in the books, not too early to start looking ahead to the 2020 season. All that more coming up on Monday. See you then. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, guys. Tayshawn, tomorrow we're on the BetQL network. If you get the Odyssey app, AUDACY, put it on your phone and then search BetQL network. You can listen to the stream there. Appreciate everybody else. We'll see you back here on Monday. Thanks for hanging out.